experiment 5. Write down determination of angle of minimum deviation. Determination of angle of minimum deviation. Determination of angle of minimum deviation. And refractive index of prism material and refractive index of prism material using spectrometer. Right. Listen. Theory is this. Listen. Now, when you know about the adjustments properly, right? Adjustments properly, doing these experiments is not that difficult. Adjustments එක තමයි හරියට කරගන්න ඕනේ. Experiment එක කරන්න පුළුවන්. Experiment එකේ ඉතින් ඔය තියෙන ඊළඟ thinking එක පොඩ්ඩක් මතක තියාගන්න. Thinking එක කියලා කියන්නේ the logic. Right. See? ඇයි ඔයාලට සීතලයිද? ඈ? Right. See? මේවයි කරන්නේ. Now, the prism is here on the prism table. See? Prism is here on the prism table. Prism is here on the prism table. Right? As this is at the center and this is perpendicular to this, say P, Q and R. Right? Then look at the board. Prism should be turned as the collimator comes to somewhere in this surface. The median collimator, see. Right? Again, light rays come, this falls onto this. Right? Now, we can observe the refracted image of this one using this surface, no? Through this surface. Refraction again, maybe prism. Telescope make image telescope something like this. Then yeah, something like this. May observe somewhere here. Right? Then we are taking this, turning this to here. But may have that pay no. Light rays thing. There are millions of light rays coming. Range but for a range, you can see this image. You will see the image at a range. And when this telescope is moving from one point to the other, you will see a displacement of the image. Right? Displacement of the image of slit. Displacement of image of slit. Imagine when we look through the telescope, then make a telescope. When you look through the telescope, right, while turning this, you will notice a displacement of image to one of the directions. Displace displace I then make a up until the critical angle. When me range again, up images balan puluan. We can then may have a race may have race critical angle like I up to balan puluan. On take time me balan. Got it? Then we will see a displacement of image. Make a displacement. And at some point, it starts displacing to the opposite direction. Then at some point, you will see it displacing to the opposite direction. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ image එක මේ පැත්තට displace වෙලා ඊට පස්සේ ආයි මේ පැත්තට displace වෙන්න පටන් ගන්නවා. Right? That is exactly when you pass the minimum deviation. Minimum deviation එකට වඩා ආයි යද්දී දැන් graph එක දන්නවනේ. Deviation increases again. Deviation එක increase වෙද්දී ආයි මෙයා opposite side එකට එනවා. දැන් කලින් ආවේ deviation එක decrease වෙද්දීනේ. Decrease වෙද්දී එක side එකකට ආවා. When deviation decreases, image comes to one direction, displaces towards one direction. After minimum deviation, deviation increases again. එහෙනම් ඉතින් ආයෙ opposite පැත්තට යන්නත් ඕනේ. Then it starts returning. මෙන්න මේ point එක identify කරගන්න ඕනේ. Right? At that point, the image is altered. Image is switching directions. Right? Alter වෙන point එකක් එනවා. අන්නේ point එක තමයි මේ critical point එක. Right? So until that point is identified, you have to move this, and after doing it several times, එකපාරින් මේක අර හරියටම reading එක ගන්න බෑ. හොඳයි. After doing this several times, you will see the exact point where it starts switching the sides, switching the directions. Right? අන්නේ reading එක ගන්න ඕනේ. Right? Say that reading is here. Say that reading is here. Say that reading is here. T1 කියමු. Right? That point is the exact point where the minimum deviation occurs. දැන් ඒකටත් පස්සෙම rotate කරොත් මේක අනිත් පැත්තට යන්නේ එයාගේ deviation එක වැඩි වෙන හින්දා. ඒ කියන්නේ minimum deviation එක පහ වුණානේ. Minimum deviation has passed. Then that is the exact point where minimum deviation occurs. මේ point එක identify කරගන්න ඕනේ. Then to measure this angle, again we know deviation is the angle between original direction and final direction of light ray. Then at this point, at the critical point, at the switching point, this is not just another deviation angle, this is dmin, minimum deviation. Right? Then to measure this angle, if I take the reading here, we can get the subtraction. Right? ඒකට මොකද කරන්නේ? We are removing the prism from the prism table and turning the telescope to this position, as telescope is exactly collinear with the collimator. Collimator එකට එන මෙන්න මේකට හදා ගන්නවා. As this is exactly collinear with the collimator. Then you can get the direction of original light ray. Refractor නැත්නම් original direction එක එනවනේ. එහෙනම් මේ reading එක එනවා. T2 minus T1 is dmin. Simple as that. මේක identify කරගන්න එක තමයි මෙතන point එක. dmin මේක හොයාගන්න එක එච්චර අමාරු නෑ. ඒකටක් ගලවා ගන්න පුළුවන්. මේක තමයි අමාරු. අමාරු කියලා කියන්නේ you have to do it several times until you identify the exact point. Right? එහෙම මෙහෙට displace වෙනවා පේනවා. So then slowly අන්තිම හරිය carefully and slowly you are moving the telescope until you identify that exact point. Right? එහෙම කළා ඒ point එක identify කරගන්න. Then remove the prism from the prism table and take the reading T2. Then dmin is given by T2 minus T1. Right? Make T1 minus T2 වෙන්නත් පුළුවන් with respect to your readings. Right? If dmin is known, n can be determined using our equation. අපි කලින් මේ equation use කරා. sin a plus dmin over 2 equation එක ඒකට දාලා ඒක හොයාගන්න පුළුවන්. Right? ඒතර මෙන්න මේක තමයි මේකේ තියෙන our interested angle is this. ඒක මේ පැත්ත තමයි මේක critical point එක. That is identified when the image is switching the sides, switching the directions. Right? පොඩ්ඩක් imagine කරගන්න මේක බලද්දී බලලා මේක move කරනවා හොඳ. ඒ කියන්නේ බලලා නිකන් ඉන්නව නෙමෙයි. We are observing through the telescope while rotating the telescope. rotate කරන ගමන් බලන්න. ඒක rotate කරන අපිට තේරෙනවා මේක displace වෙනවා එක පැත්තකට. අන්න ඒක එක තැනකදී අනිත් පැත්තට එන්න ගන්නවා. Right? You are observing this through the telescope. Right? The reason to switch sides is the minimum deviation. Right? Okay. එතන minimum deviation එක තියෙන critical angles වල කලින් හොඳ. critical angles ඒවා පස්සේ. critical angle එකක් වට මේ surface එකෙන් බලන්නත් බෑ. ඒක බලන්න ඕනේ මේ surface එකෙන්. ඒතර මේ surface එකෙන් ඔයා observe කරද්දී කොහොමද උඩ critical angle එකේ issue එකක් නැහැ. තේරෙනවද? මේකෙන් එන light ray එකක් මේකෙන් critical angle වෙන්නේ නැහැනේ. මේකෙන් critical angle කියන්නේ මේකෙන් critical angle එකක් මට check කරගන්න ඕන නම් බලන්න වෙන්නේ මෙහෙන්. whether it's totally internally reflected. එහෙම වුණොත් තමයි critical angle එක check කරගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ නිසා මේකෙන් බලුවා කියලා ක්‍රිටිකල් වෙන පොයින්ට් එක එන්නේ නැහැ. ක්‍රිටිකල් එක ආවත් මෙන්න මේම නෙන්නේ. ඒක පේන්නේ නැහැ. ඒකට කලින් මේ වැඩේ වෙනවා. right? Okay, then theory. Take this down. මේ diagram එක මුලින් අඳ ගන්නවා. Take down the diagram. මේ arrows දෙක ඇතුළෙන්ම මම අඳිනවා. මේ image එකටම අඳිනවා. මෙන්න මෙහෙම. Take down. මේක අදම දැම්ම මේ කෙලින්ම ඉවර කරගන්න තරමට මාර ලේසි හොඳ මේ ස්පෙක්ට්‍රොමීටර් කියන්නේ කට්ටිය ටිකක් ඔය කම්ප්ලෙක්සිටි එකක් තියෙන ඉන්ස්ට්‍රුමන්ට් එකක් ඉඳලා පොඩක් අමාරුයි කියන එකක් ඇත්තරම. right? ඒ නිසා මේ හොඳට අල්ලගන්න. හරිම concepts අන්නවා නම් ඉතින් බය වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ ප්‍රශ්න වලට. මේකට perpendicular. මේකට perpendicular and one vertex is at the center. කලින් විදියම තමයි. පොඩක් ගැම්මට ඉන්න. අපිට නිදිමත හැදෙනවා ආදේශව දැක්කා. නෑ අවුලක් නෑ මෙතන ඉන්න සෙට් එක නැච්ච නිදිමත නෑ වගේ වෙන්නේ. අවුලක් නෑනේ. විහංගයට පොඩ්ඩක් නිදිමතයි වගේ. ඔනෙත් මිනිහා නිදාගත්තා මම දැක්කා. අනිත් අය ෂේප් තාම සලිල් අවුලක් නෑ. සලිල් වේව ක්ලාස් එකේ තාම නිදාගන්නේ. නෑ එදා උදේ ක්ලාස් ගිහින් ඉන්නේ නේ. මයික අවුලක් නෑ. අදීශ අසාධ්‍යයි. අවුලක් නෑ. Take down. Leaving. Leaving. Oh, මේකද ලියන්න. Okay, rest. Write down below. If angle of minimum deviation, if angle of minimum deviation if angle of minimum deviation if angle of minimum deviation is d min, if angle of minimum deviation is d min, and refractive index of and refractive index of and refractive index of d min is d min, and refractive index of prism material is n, and refractive index of prism material is n, and refractive index of prism material is n. What is the equation? Put a comma. N equals sine a plus d min over 2 over sine a over 2. Write down. Okay, next. Materials and apparatus. Next, materials and apparatus. Materials and apparatus. Put a point and write down. Same as previous. Same as previous. Same as previous. Same as previous. Right. Next, method. Next one, method. Method. First point. First point. Keep sodium lamp. Keep sodium lamp. Keep sodium lamp. Keep sodium lamp in front of slit of in front of slit of properly adjusted spectrometer. In front of slit of properly adjusted spectrometer. Next point, keep the prism on prism table. Keep the prism on prism table. Keep the prism on prism table and observe. Keep the prism on prism table and observe the refracted ray and observe the refracted rays. Observe the refracted rays through the opposite face. Through the opposite face. Label this as T3. Label this as T3. This one. Label this as T3. Turn the telescope. Turn the telescope. Turn the telescope to position T3. Turn the telescope to position T3. Turn the telescope to position T3 and slowly rotate and slowly rotate it and slowly rotate it towards T1. Slowly rotate it towards T1. Next point. Now the image of slit. Now the image of slit. Now the image of slit. Now the image of slit can be seen moving along. Can be seen moving along can be seen moving along one direction. Can be seen moving along one direction. Next point. Suddenly it stops at a point. Suddenly it momentarily stops. Suddenly it momentarily stops at a point. Suddenly it momentarily stops at a point and starts moving along the opposite direction and starts moving along the opposite direction. Within brackets, switching directions. Next point, identify the exact point. Identify the exact point. The image is coming to a stop. Identify the exact point. The image is coming to a stop. And switching directions. Coming to a stop and switching directions. And take the respective reading. Next point, remove prism from prism table. Remove prism from prism table. And turn telescope to position T2 as it is collinear with collimator. And take the respective reading. Next point, difference between readings. At T1 and T2. Difference between readings at T1 and T2 gives angle of minimum deviation. Write down below again. Right? Theory d min equals T2 minus T1. The next point, refractive index of prism material. Refractive index of prism material. Refractive index of prism material can be determined using the equation discussed under theory. Can be determined using the equation discussed under theory. Right. Mention the equation again. N equals sin A plus D min O2 over sin A O2. Right. Listen. What about A here? What about A in the equation? What about A in the equation? Now D min is known from this. D min is known. What about A? A ka මොකද කරන්නේ? හා? A කොහොමද දාන්නේ? 60 කියලා දානවද නැත්නම් වෙන විදියක් කරනවද? What about A? හා? What about A? 60 දාන්න පුළුවන්ද? බෑ. පුළුවන්. 60? Why? Yes. In the previous experiment, we have determined A already. I think 60 දාන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. We have the accurate value of A. Right? Plug A from the previous one. Make 60 දාන්න නැහැ. Even though we know this as an equilateral one, right? Now we have the exact value. Equilateral කියලා ඕක 60 and 0 minutes නැහැ. It can be sometimes 59 degrees 35 minutes. Something like that. අන්නේ exact value එකම අපිට මෙතන use කරන්න පුළුවන් because we have found the refracting angle, prism angle in the previous experiment. Right? Right down below. Use the value obtained for prism angle. 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 Use the value obtained for prism angle from the previous experiment. From the previous experiment. From the previous experiment. From the previous experiment. Right. So quickly go through what is given here. Right. Right. Listen. Listen. So you all know that we have got 25 results now, right? දැනගෙන ඉන්න කරන සබ්ජෙක්ට් එකට මම ක්ලාස් එකේ කියලා දෙනවා. මම මේ ආයි දැන් 16 weeks ඉඳලා රිමයින්ඩ් කරන්නේ. 16 weeks ඉඳලා රිමයින්ඩ් කරන්නේ. මේ මම නිකන් ක්ලාස් එකේ කියලා දෙනවා. In our from our A level subjects. What is the subject? The most number of students are failing. මොකද්ද? දැන් ඉතින් physics පිස්සුද? physics නෙමෙයි. What is it? Combined maths. What is the subject with the highest percentage actually? Highest percentage of A passes. Highest A. Combined maths. Right? වැඩියෙන්ම fail වෙනෙත් combined maths. වැඩිම A passes තියෙනෙත් combined maths. එහෙම තමයි maths. Right? තේරුණා. ඒ කියන්නේ maths set නම් දිගටම ගණන් හදන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි නැත්තම් ඉතින් MCQ ගහන්න කියලා මොකුත් කරන්න බෑ. fail. ඒකයි එහෙම වෙන්නේ. Right? So about physics, the thing is, by the way, what is a subject with highest number of A passes? Usually, ඒක නම් වෙනස් වෙනවා. Usually, highest percentage is combined.